no oof yet. This time it's gonna get an oof, but I don't like to tell it, okay? Didi. Hello everyone, my name is Hua, and today we're gonna read 2 books, double reading. One is super short and one is long. And if we see this book is quite long, we're gonna read this book too. So come on, let's read this book. Cecily, Parsley's Nursery Rhymes. So it's kind of about nursery rhymes. Okay. Wait me. Cecily Parsley lived in a pen and brewed gold ale for gentlemen. Gentlemen came every day till Cecily Parsley ran away. This pig went to market. This pig stayed at home. This pig has a bit of meat, and this pig has none. This pig cried, wee, wee, wee. I can't find my way home. Pussycat sits by the fire. How could she be fair? I walk the little dog. Says Pussy, are you there? How do you do, Mistress Pussy? Mistress Pussy, how do you do? I thank you kindly, little dog. I fare as well as you. 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice. See how they run. They all run after the farmer's wife, and she cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did ever you see such a thing in your life as 3 blind mice? Bow, 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 wow, wow. Those dogs are food. I'm little Tom Tinker's dog. Bow, wow, wow. We have a little garden, a garden of our own, and every day we water there the seeds that we have sown. We love our little garden and tend it with such care. You not find faded leaf or blight blossom there. Nini Nanny Netticoat in a white petticoat, with red nose and longer she stands, the shorter she grows. The end. So that's all. Okay, so we're gonna. This look quite short, so we're gonna read this. The Tailor of Gloucester. The Tailor of Gloucester. In the time of swords and periwigs, and full-skirted coats with flowered lappets, when gentlemen wore ruffles and gold-laced waistcoat of paduasoy and taffeta, there lived a tailor in Gloucester. He sat in the window of a little shop in Westgate Street, cross-legged on a table, from morning to dark. All day long, while the light lasted, he sewed and snipped, piecing out his satin and pompadour, and lute-string stuff and strange names, and were very expensive in the days of a tailor of Gloucester. But although he sewed fine silk for his neighbors, he himself was very, very poor. a little old man in spectacles, with a pinched face, old crooked fingers, and a suit of threadbare clothes. He cut his coat without waste, according to his embroidered cloth, with very small ends and snippets that lay out upon the table. 2 narrow breadths for not, escaped waistcoat for mice, said the tailor. One bitter cold day near Christmas time, the tailor began to make a coat of cherry-colored corded silk, embroidered with the pennies and roses and cream-colored satin waistcoat, trimmed with gold and green worsted chenille for the mayor of Gloucester. The tailor worked and talked to himself. He measured the silk and turned it round and round, and trimmed it into the shape with his shears. The table was all littered with cherry-colored snippets, no breadth at all, and cut on the cross. There's no breadth at all. Tippets for mice and ribbons for mops, for mice, said the tailor of Gloucester. When the snowflakes came down against the small leaded window panes and shut out the light, the tailor had done his day's work. All the silk and satin lay cut out upon the table. There were 12 pieces for the coat and 4 pieces for the waistcoat, and there were pocket flaps and cuffs and buttons all in order. For the lining of the coat, there was fine yellow taffeta, and for the buttonholes in the waistcoat, there was cherry-colored twist. And everything was ready to sew together in the morning, all measured and sufficient, except that was wanting just one single skein of cherry-colored twisted silk. The tailor came out of his shop in dark, for he did not sleep there at nights. He fastened the window and locked the door, and took away the key. No one lived there at night but little brown mice. They run in and out without any keys. How did they even do that? For behind the wooden wainscots of an old house in Gloucester, there were little mouse staircases and secret trapdoors, and the mice to run from house to house through those long, narrow passages. They can run all over the town without going into the streets. But the tailor came out of his shop and shuffled home through the snow. He lived quite near by the college court, next the doorway to College Green, and although it was not a big house, the tailor was so poor he only rented a kitchen. He lived alone in his cat. It was called Simpkin. Now all day long while the tailor was out of work, Simpkin kept house by himself, and he also was fond of the mice, though he gave them no satin for coats. Meow, said the cat when the tailor opened the door. Meow, but the tailor replied, Simpkin, we shall make our fortune, but I'm worn to a reveling. This is groat, which is our last 4p, and Simpkin take a china pipkin, buy a pennorth of bread, and pennorth of milk, and pennorth of sausages. And oh, Simpkin buy the last penny of our 4p, buy the 1 pennorth of cherry-colored silk, but do not lose a penny of a fourpence simpkin, or I am undone, and worn to thread paper, for I have no more twist. And Simpkin again said, meow, and took the groat and the pipkin, and went out into the dark. The tailor was very tired and began to be ill. He sat down by the hearth and talked to himself about that wonderful coat. I shall make my fortune to be cut by us. The mayor of Gloucester is to be married on Christmas Day in the morning, and he hath ordered a coat and embroidered waistcoat to be lined with yellow taffeta, and the taffeta is sufficient. Seth, there's no more left over in snippets that will serve to make tippets for mice. Then the tailor started, for suddenly, interrupting him, from the dresser at the other side of the kitchen came a number of little noises. Tip-tap, 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 tip. Now what can that be? Said the tailor of Gloucester, jumping up from a chair. The dresser was covered with rockety and pipkins, willow pattern plates, and teacups and mugs. The tailor crossed the kitchen and stood quite still beside the dresser, listening and peering through his spyglass. Again from the teacup, those funny little noises. Tip-tap, 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 tip. This is very peculiar, said the tailor of Gloucester, and he lifted up the teacup, which is upside down. Out stepped a little live lady mouse, and she made her stay to the tailor. Then she hopped away down to the dresser and under the wainscot. The tailor sat down again by the fire, warming his poor cold hands and mumbling to himself. The waistcoat is cut out from a peach-colored satin, tambour stitch, and rosebuds in a beautiful floss silk. Was I wise to entrust my last fourpence to Simpkin? 1 and 20 buttonholes of cherry-colored twist. But all at once from the dresser there came other little noises. Tip-tap, 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 tip. This is passing extraordinary, said the tailor of Gloucester, and turned over another teacup which was upside down. Out stepped a little gentleman mouse and made a bow to the tailor. And then from all over the dresser came a chorus of little tapping, all sounding together and answering one another like watch beetles in an old worm-eaten window shutter. Tip-tap, 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 tip. And out of under teacups and from under bowls and basins stepped other and more little mice, who hopped away down of a dresser and under the wainscot. The tailor sat down close to the fire, lamenting. 1 and 20 buttonholes of cherry-colored silk, to be finished by noon Saturday, and this is Tuesday evening. Was it right to be loose? The mice, undoubtedly the property of Simpkin? Alack, I am undrowned, for I have no more twist. The little mice came out again and listened to the tailor. They looked notice of pattern of that wonderful coat. They whispered to one another about the taffeta lining and about little mouse tippets. I'm sorry. And then all at once they all ran away together down the passage, behind the wainscot, squeaking and calling to one another as they ran from house to house, and not one mouse was left in the tailor's kitchen. When Simpkin came back with a pipkin of milk, Simpkin opened the door and bounced in with an angry grrr, meow, like a cat that is vexed, for he hated the snow, and there was snow in his ears. There was snow in his ears, and snow in his collar at the back of his neck. He put down the loaf of sauce and the sausages upon the dresser and sniffed. Simpkin, said the tailor, where is my twist? But Simpkin set down the pipkin of milk upon the dresser and looked suspiciously at the teacups. He wanted his supper of little fat mouse. Simpkin, said the tailor, where is my twist? But Simpkin hid a little parcel privately in the teapot, and spit and growled at the tailor. And if Simpkin had been able to talk, he would have asked, where is my mouse? Alack, I'm undrone, said the tailor of Gloucester, and went sadly to bed. All that night long, Simpkin hunted and searched through the kitchen, peeping into the cupboards and under the wainscot, and into the teapot where he had hidden that twist. But he still found never a mouse. Whenever the tailor muttered and talked to in his sleep, Simpkin had said, meow, grrr, and made strange, horrid noises that cats do at night. For the poor old tailor was very ill of a fever, tossing and turning in his four-post bed, and still in his dreams he mumbled, no more twist, no more twist. All that day he was ill, and the next day, and the next. What should become a cherry-colored coat? In the tailor's shop in Westgate Street, he embroidered silk and satin lay cut out upon the table, 21 buttonholes, and who should come to sew them? When the window was barred, and the door was fast locked? But what does not hinder the little brown mice? They run in and out without any keys through all the old houses in Gloucester. Out of doors the market folks by trudging through the snow to buy the geese and turkeys, and to bake their Christmas pies. There would be no Christmas dinner for Simpkin and the poor old tailor of Gloucester. The tailor lay ill for 3 days and nights, and then it was Christmas Eve, and every late at night the moon climbed up over the roofs and chimneys, and looked down over the gateway into College Court, and there were no lights in the windows, nor any sound in the houses. All the country of Gloucester was fast asleep under the snow. And still Simpkin wanted his mice, and he meowed as he stood beside the four-post bed. But it is in the old story that all the beasts can talk. And the night between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in the morning, though there are very few folks that can hear them or know what it is that they say. At the cathedral, clock struck 12, and there was an answer, like an echo of chimes, and Simpkin heard it, and came out of a tailor's door, and wandered about it in the snow. From all of the roof and gables and wooden houses in Gloucester came 1,000 merry voices singing the old Christmas rhymes, all the old songs that never I heard of, and some that I didn't know, like Whittington's bells. First and loudest the cocks cried out, "Dave, get up and bake your pies!" "Oh, dilly, dilly, dilly!" sighed Simpkin. And now in the garret there were lights and sound of dancing, and cats came from over the way. "Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, all the cats in the Gloucester except me," said Simpkin. Under the wooden eaves the starlings and sparrows sang of Christmas pies, and jackdaws woke up in the cathedral tower, and although it was the middle of the night, the throstles and robins sang. The air was quite full of little twittering tunes, but rather provoking to poor hungry Simpkin. Particularly, he was vexed with some shrill voices from behind a wooden lattice. I think that there were bats, because they always have a very small voices, especially in a black frost, where they talk in their sleep, like the Tailor of Gloucester. They said something like mysterious sound, like "Buzz, quoth the blue fly, hum, quoth the bee, buzz and hum they cry, and so do we." And Simpkin went away shaking his ears as if he had a bee in his bonnet. From the tailor's shop in Westgate came a glow of light, and when Simpkin crept up to peep at the window, it was full of candles. There was a snipping of scissors, a snapping of a thread. The little mouse voices sang loudly and gaily. 24 tailors went to catch a snail. The best man among them durst not to touch her tail, and put out her horns like a little kylie cow. "Run, tailors, run, or she have you all eaten now." Here. Then, without a pause, the little mouse voices went on again. "See, my lady oatmeal, grind my lady's flour, put it in a chestnut, let it stand an hour." "Meow, meow," interrupts Simpkin, and he scratched at the door. But the key was under the tailor's pillow. He could not get it. The little mice only laughed and tried another tune. 3 little mice sat down to spin. Pussy passed by and she peeped in. "What are you at, my fine little man?" "Making coats for gentlemen." "Shall I come in and cut your threads?" "Oh no, Miss Pussy, you bite off our heads." "Meow, meow," cried Simpkin. "Hey, diddle dinkety," answered the little mice. "Hey, diddle dinkety, poppity pat." The merchants of London, they wear scarlet, silk in the collar, and gold in the hem. So merrily march the merchantmen. They click their thimbles to mark at the time, but none of the songs pleased Simpkin, and he sniffed and meowed at the door of the shop. And then I bought a pipkin and a popkin, a slipkin and a slopkin, all for 1 farthing, and upon the kitchen dresser, and rude little mice. "Meow, scratch, scratch," scoffed Simpkin on the window sill. Why, little mice inside sprang to their feet and began to shout at once in little twittering noise. "No more twists! No more twists! And barred up the window shutters and shut out Simpkin. But still while the nicks in the shutters he could hear the click of thimbles. And little mouse voices sing, No more twist! No more twist! Simpkin came away from the shop and went home, considering his mind. He found a poor old tailor without fever, sleeping peacefully. When Simpkin went on tiptoe and took a parcel of silk out of a tea pot and looked at it in the moonlight, and he felt quite ashamed of his badness compared with those good little mice. With the tailor awoke in the morning, first thing which he saw upon the patchwork quilt was a skein of cherry-colored twisted silk, and beside his bed stood the repentant Simpkin. Alack, I'm worn and ravelling, said the tailor of Gloucester, but I have my twist. The sun was shining on the snow when the tailor got up and dressed and came out of the street with Simpkin running before him. The starlings whistled on the chimney stacks, and the throstles and robins sang, but they sang their own little noises, not the word they had sung in the night. Alack, said the tailor, I have my twist, but no more strength, nor time than served to make me one single buttonhole, and this is Christmas Day the morning. The mayor of Gloucester shall be married by noon, and wears his cherry-coloured coat. He unlocked the door of a little shop in Westgate Street, and Simpkin ran in like a cat that expects something. But there's no one here, not even little brown mouse. The board was swept and clean. Little ends of thread and little silk snippets were all taken away and gone from off the floor. But upon the table, oh joy! The tailor gave a shout. There, where he had left plain cutting of silk, and lay the most beautiful waistcoat and embroidered satin waistcoat that ever were worn by a mayor of Gloucester. There were roses and panish upon the facing of the coat, and waistcoat were worked with poppies and cornflowers. Everything was finished except just one single cherry-colored buttonhole, and where was that buttonhole was wanting to their pin as a scrap of paper with these words and little teeny-weeny writing. No more twist. And from the beginning of the luck of the tailor of Gloucester, he grew quite stout, and he grew quite rich. He made the most wonderful waistcoat for the rich merchants of Gloucester, and for the fine gentlemen of the country round. Never were seen such ruffles or just such embroidered cuff and lappets. But his buttonholes were the greatest truth of it all. The stitches of those buttonholes were so neat, so neat. I wonder how they could be stitched by an old man in spectacles, with crooked old fingers and a tailor thimble. And stitches of those buttonholes were so small. They looked as if they had been made by little mice. The end. So this is the end now, and I'm feeling like I am out of my breath. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye everyone. If you see me has reading the book The Tailor of Gloucester, but this is a good voice of that story. I hope you enjoy this, and bye bye everyone. See ya in the next vid. Only in the next vid. Bye bye.